It was a 45
So it was
Magnum, like this big.
Oh my God.
Right? So I had it in my holster, and I had it sitting in a position so he could grab it and shoot me with it.
Right.
But as I was over top of him, beating him up, my gun flew out my holster and hit him in the mouth and broke out his front teeth.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They broke his teeth.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Glitch, Grind, Glow. I'm so excited to be here today because I've brought along some revolutionaries in the filmmaking and streaming arenas. And so I want to dig deep into all of their experience and their inspiration. If this is the first time that you guys are tuning in with us, my name is Candace Scarborough Sanchez, and I am the host of the podcast. The whole platform for Glitch, Grind, Glow is a space for tech to meet innovation, entrepreneurship, and inspiration. So without further ado, I want to make sure that I introduce our guests. With me to my left here is Sean Queen, and to my right here is Dameron Kirby. I wanted to bring you guys here today because I've met with a lot of founders and CEOs over the last year or so, and I think by far your journey has been the most unique and kind of the most inspirational that I've seen in the space. Full disclosure, Sean and DK both are fitness gurus. That's how I met them, and that's how I became acquainted with them, and also just their style in general. And then over the years, I've also been watching them from afar to see how they're revolutionizing both film and the streaming industry. So without further ado, I wanted to just turn it over to you guys and get brief introductions. Tell me about yourselves. You know, if I had to ask you to sum up yourself in a 2-minute elevator pitch, what would that be?
Well, first, Sean Queen from Annapolis, Maryland, and I own a gym over in Jessup, Maryland. And that's where we all kind of met up and stuff like that. And most of my clients that I do train over at that gym are bodybuilder, and bikini competitors, and that's what mainly I do. I know DK's the head trainer over there, and he does his thing. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of me. I've been in the industry for 15, 16 years now. Okay. And it's been good to me, right? And now we're trying to make some shifts into making movies and bigger, better things. Awesome.
I will say I've been in the gym with both of these amazing trainers, and I've loved to see just the remarkable journeys that your clients go on from beginning to end. And it's that in itself is inspiring and also impactful to me, someone that's also been on a fitness journey for a while. So, all right, DK, you're up next.
Yeah, so Dameron Kirby, and first, thank you for getting my name right.
Okay.
Yeah, I get all the things, and you hit that like right on the money. So I really
I was practicing y'all very hard.
Kudos.
Right.
But yeah, so a fitness instructor as well. I come from a background of I'm a professional fighter. I did pro MMA, also did pro boxing, got involved in the fitness industry, and so. A lot of what I do outside, of course, the fitness industry, I started doing in the film, getting into helping with the choreography, making sure things look real. The worst thing I hate to see is when you see something, you're like, man, that wouldn't have worked. Cut it out, right? But, so I try to make sure things are as real as I can possibly make them, but still good for the camera. And thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the real questions, I always try to start off with an icebreaker question, just so that people can kind of learn you guys' personalities and know you a little bit deeper, right? Mm-hmm. So if you guys were detectives in real life, what would your secret code name be and why? Start with you, Sean.
All right, so I'm going to have to go with the name Silent Chaos.
Okay.
All right, and number one, it's my gaming tag name. So whenever I'm gaming, it's always been Silent Chaos, man. It's been that for ever and a day. So if I ever got any of y'all in the Silent Chaos, that's me.
Put a face to the name.
Right. Yeah, it's like I like that name because it's it kind of describes my personality a little bit. I move. I don't make a lot of noise when I'm trying to move. I don't try and put my name out there and try to draw a lot of attention to myself. And the chaos aspect of it is we're always evolving, right? It can seem chaotic at times because evolving. It's movement involved, right? You're bringing new pieces in and moving pieces all the time. So you're always moving, but at the same time, you're not trying to make a lot of noise when you're trying to do it because you're trying to be humble at the same time.
Right. I like that. I like that. So, in the storming, forming, norming of chaos, right? Because it's at a certain point, it'll come to a place where it's gotten the inertia that it needs to kind of move forward.
Exactly.
And then it's harmony at a certain point.
Exactly.
I like that. That's really cute. Okay. What about you, DK? What would your code name be?
Mine is easy. It actually is something that they called me in the gym. So I would go with Cap. Right.
Okay. Short for
Captain America.
Okay. I do know that one. Yeah. Yes.
But like Sean said, I think it fits me. I am a advocate on always trying to be a better leader, on trying to evolve and trying to grow and trying to get as high as I can as far as my self-development.
Right.
And so kind of everything that he stands for, in his movies, I'm kind of along that same wavelength. So I definitely go with Cap.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I always interested to see is when I first came into the gym, Hero Academy was operating in a space and I just kind of loved to watch you kind of come into the room, command the room, and really just help people grow in that space. And I always thought that was so unique. I'd never seen anything like that. I've seen tons of, fitness classes and boot camps and things like that, but it was just a different experience to watch you interacting with the people in the academy. So I think, Captain is very fitting, right? From what I've seen and what I've experienced, right?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. So icebreaker is done. We're going to actually get into the real questions here because there's a lot to unpack with these two, right? So we have multiple topics to get to here, and I want to make sure that we cover everything. So let's talk about filmmaking first. How did you guys get into the filmmaking business? I know DK kind of touched on it a little bit with, him doing the choreo, but tell me both stories holistically. So we'll start first with you, Sean.
Okay, so it's interesting. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to get into filmmaking.
Right.
A lot of times you don't talk to people, or you need to know somebody who can kind of educate you on how to do something to that effect. And you have other goals that you're trying to accomplish at the same time too. But anyway, me and DK was sitting down at the gym one day. It was during COVID, and we just kind of talking about life goals. Mm-hmm. And I had mentioned to him man, I want to I would love to get into some acting, And he's like, dude, I already do acting. I'm like, no way. He's like, dude, I have the whole IBD whatever page and everything else. And I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, next time, I meet up with my director or somebody calls me, I'll take you with me so I can introduce you so you know how to get into the game. So long story short, he gets a script on his desk, and he's like, I approach him about it. I was like, man, is that a script? He's like, yeah, the guy, this Ramel, he just sent it over to us. And I was like, man, let me jump in. He's like, I'll take you up there. So we went up there, we talked to him, and he put me in this little clip he had for, all day sitting there just waiting to talk to him. And then next thing you know, we all sat down, we talked about this project, Miscalculated.
Right.
And then, we started talking about it, and we decided to take it from a short film and turn it into a full feature film. And that's how I got into it. Yeah. So
were you actually good? If we had to look back, hindsight, right, and really look at it with no rose-colored glasses.
So,
when they brought you in, were you actually good?
No.
So you got good?
I'm not even saying I got good yet. I'm not going to say
it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Okay.
I'm going
to step in real quick because no, so here's one thing I'll give Sean. He's a technician.
Right.
right? He is a technician. So if there is something that he's doing, next thing you know, everybody else kind of just going with the flow. And Sean's like, no, I signed myself for these classes, right? And then I looked on YouTube, and then there was this course right here, and they said that you got to do this, so I'm adding this. Hey, y'all want to meet tonight at 5 so we can work on that thing right there? And so that's like, he is a complete technician, and he brings that to the table, and it's incredible.
Right.
So I will say, in the film, he did amazing, and you saw him grow like as an actor, because it's things that he didn't. And shout out to Kate, by the way, because that was our
instructor,
our acting instructor.
Yep.
So shout out to Kate. Excuse me, but he's gone to more classes than all of us combined.
Yeah.
Right. Like he is on it, but it shows.
Yeah.
It shows.
I will say that's one thing about myself.
Right. You're gonna practice.
Yeah.
You're gonna put in the work.
Yeah. It's the aspect of like too. It's like education. You know, practice. Learning from other people, so you can grow whatever it is. And then on top of it, it's kind of like this could be our one time to make this movie.
Right.
And when I look down, when I sit down and look back at it later on, I don't want to be like, ugh, this is absolutely horrible.
Right.
And y'all want to sit down and be like, I could have did better, but you don't want to say it's horrible. So, but yeah, I will say, like, I was definitely the person who was like, hey, look, everybody, we're doing classes now. We're all doing classes. Everybody be here. We're gonna start doing these classes.
Yeah.
But DK himself, major support, and he was always right there by my side. Like, yo, we gonna make this push. We're gonna make this thing happen. So.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I love the honesty and the candor, and that because she was like, I'm not even gonna say that I'm good yet, but I'm getting there. I'm on a journey.
Yeah.
Right. And I love
all you
that.
can do. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So what about you? I know you already touched on one part of it, which was, your choreography kind of role. But what else got you? Like, how did you even get that far?
So the whole thing was kind of cool because I did fight. Whenever there was like hey, there's like a fight scene in a bar. Anybody want to, so people would always kind of come to me to do like these just little roles, or there's a SWAT, people coming in SWAT, and so just little stuff like that. So I'm on the camera, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, I'm just, kind of in the background fighting or something like that. And so shout out to Ramel, who's, he's just our director. But no, he's a director, he's the editor, he's the cameraman, he's the light man, he's
everything. He's doing everything. Yes.
When I say everything, I mean absolutely everything. So when he met me, and it was something I was swatting, right? And this was like at the brink of my MMA career, and so he had something in mind for me. But at that moment in time, I was all about fighting.
Right.
I'm in training camps back to back. I'm getting in the cage. I was all about fighting. So he said, I really wanted you to do something, but you were just doing your thing. Every time I was trying to get in touch with you, you were traveling, somewhere to whatever. So when I finally kind of settled down and I'm more into like, the fitness industry, and I'm like, all right, I'm coming down from that, and I'm just, going into the next route of life.
Right.
He finally hit me up and he said, hey, man, for the past 3-4 years, I had this script on my desk, and I wrote it with you in mind, with like you being like the center of this, right?
Wow.
And so I want you to take a look at this. Listen, if it's not for you, I understand. I get it. I'm just saying, hey, here it is. Take a look. Let me know what you think. Yeah. Right. That is the paper that I sat down and I took to Sean.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, hey, you told me. Right. Something came across, and so him and I kind of talked about it, and it was a short, and it was like, you know what, we gonna go big,
right?
Hard.
What short?
Go hard.
Nah, full feature.
So
what
does that mean? So short is how long? What was the length when you guys originally started with the idea of Miscalculated?
Short, it's like 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, 15 to 30 minutes typically. It's not long at all.
Yeah.
And I think that he had written it to where it would be about on the 30ish minute side.
Okay.
But it definitely was not a full feature.
Yeah.
So we came back to him like, hey,
we want to we
gonna support this. We're gonna come behind you, right? And so let's turn this into a full feature, and let's do this big. Let's do it. And he was up for the challenge.
Yeah.
He was up for the job, and so it completely just evolved from there. And then we didn't look back. We just kept going.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that was a big challenge too.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, what were the biggest challenges that you guys faced?
So I'm going to tell you. I think the biggest thing was when you have a low budget movie and an indie film, one of the hardest things to do is to get the same people showing up all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people didn't even show up. You'd be
Right.
like, oh yeah, we call them the day before. You gonna be there? Oh yeah, we'll be there. And they don't even show up.
And
So-
these would be like main characters, like main
Right, they're not
people
just the
in
extras walking around in the
you're like
background.
a
These are
main
people with
piece.
main
lines.
characters, right?
Yeah.
So that is right there probably the hardest part. And when you watch a lot of these indie films, they're small casts, and that's the
Right.
reason why you keep these indie films very small, because you're trying to get the same people so you can complete this project.
Right.
And usually the max for indie film is usually about 20 people. You get into your 30s for some of them, but for the most part it's about 20 people. And Miscalculated, we had 120 people.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
120 people.
and that's a lot of people to keep up with.
Yeah.
A lot of
But
people
how many
to keep up
were
with.
consistent, you think, out of that 120?
All 120.
Wow. That means people
All
came and showed up for you then.
Yes.
Like, they really believed in the project.
yes,
they believed
were
in y'all's
believing in that
vision.
project. I mean, we had some group of women who didn't show up. We've had some people who
Right.
schedule, whatever the case may be, where we had to reschedule things. But for the most part, everybody showed up.
Right.
From the beginning to the end of that. So
That's amazing.
This whole thing was a learning curve because none of us had ever
Right.
did a full feature film before.
Right.
And respect to Ramel, he had been in the industry for a minute, but had never did a full feature before.
Right.
So this was a huge learning curve. We were like on the go learning.
Yeah.
And just like we got to figure this out, and kind of just thrown in the heat, but it was amazing because I think that we learned so much more. And so even after that film, and we're taking a look at, okay, well, what's our next thing?
Yeah.
But now we have all of these lessons learned
Right.
that we bring to the table in this new things, to make sure that we do better and do bigger and be stronger this time. So it was fun, challenging, very challenging, but it was a great time.
Yeah. So before we get too much further deep into like talking about some of the interesting aspects, right, of filming the movie, I want people to know, what is Miscalculated about? Can either one of you can give the synopsis?
I'll let DK talk about
Okay.
it because he's the main character.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the main character.
Makes
Yes,
sense.
yes,
So
yeah.
give me the full scoop.
Yeah, so basically, we're two undercover cops, right? And I'm the poised one, right? I'm the poised one. I'm trying to keep my cool and collected. And my partner, he out of control.
Right.
Okay, he's the one. He's gonna go off.
Yeah.
Like he gonna get in trouble with the captain. He's always gonna do something. He's completely out of control. And we're going after these arms dealers, right? And it kind of goes back and forth. I got a little love fling in there, and then so I'm not gonna get too much into detail.
Right.
It's called Miscalculated. Go watch it.
Where can people find it?
It's right
We're gonna
now.
do the plug right now.
Yeah, so you can find it on Tubi, and we're getting ready to put it up on Nemis.
Okay.
So yes.
Awesome. And one of the things that I think is interesting, I got to see it in the movie theaters, y'all. Sorry y'all missed that opportunity. But and I got to see the wonderful cast. So a lot of the cast were there present for the premiere. Ramel is actually, funny in real life. Right. And so
he didn't have to act that out.
He really
Right,
did.
right.
That was
who
him
he
being
was.
him.
and that's
Yes.
and I think that's so like genuinely like what was really inspiring about you guys in the movie was like your personalities kind of were able to shine through, and you were natural, and it was organic. But speaking of Ramel, I know there's a story. I wanted to ask them about what might be the funniest thing that happened on set while filming Miscalculated. I don't know what it is yet,
Sorry,
but I
Ramel.
know
Yeah, sorry,
that
Ramel.
I heard that they were gonna have to say sorry
Yeah.
for in advance. So go ahead. Who's telling it? Who's telling the story?
I guess I should tell this story.
Yeah, you should, cause
Right, yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So we was down in Virginia on this one set, and the overall that whole night was a great night.
Right.
We had so much fun filming that night. However, it didn't start off on the best foot. So it was me and Ramel. We have our scene together, and I'm over top of him, and I'm beating him up.
Right. I remember that.
Yes, and my gun and my holster.
Hold up, tell him what type of gun it was.
So it was a 45
So it was heavy.
Magnum, like this big.
Oh my God.
Right? So I had it in my holster, and I had it sitting in a position so he could grab it and shoot me with it.
Right.
But as I was over top of him beating him up, my gun flew out my holster and hit him in the mouth and broke out his front teeth.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They broke his teeth.
Yes. So he had one tooth was hanging and the nerve was hanging.
The nerve was
you could actually
hanging
see.
out.
Yeah.
His gums just dangling. And every time he would breathe in and air would get in his mouth.
Yeah, I can't.
You would
You're
hear
making me
him
cringe.
scream,
Yes.
and you wouldn't think it was a man.
Right.
And one time you just heard like a boom boom, and he just fell to the ground because the pain was apparently so crazy.
Yeah.
And
Y'all
he was
have
like,
this on film?
oh.
Is this in like the
Yes.
blooper footage?
We wish. I don't think he added it in the blooper.
I bet he
I
didn't.
think he purposely.
Like,
We don't need to add
Nobody
this in there.
gets to see this
We don't need
ever.
to see that.
That's crazy.
Yes. And that was. And we all make fun of him because he had to definitely go get surgery after that to get his mouth fixed. And it was pretty.
So wait, how wasn't the gun secured? So that was your fault? Like
No, so I mean, you can blame me. Yeah, you can blame me. I'll take the blame for.
I had to ask the question.
I'll take the blame
I had
for
to
it.
figure it out.
Yeah, I take the
Sorry.
blame. No, so what happened was. So what happened was.
you already know what happened was.
Right.
He was supposed to shoot me with the gun.
Okay.
Right? So when we first practiced it, he couldn't pull the gun out my holster.
Got it. So you had to loosen it up.
So I had to loosen it up so he could grab it, and as he kicked me off, it was like he would pull the holster and then be able to shoot me with it. But when I had it loose, when I went to go bend over, it just fell right out.
Right.
And popped him right in the mouth. And that was, that wasn't definitely not a pretty
Now the
sight.
funny part was, it was in that particular scene, people like, oh man, that looks so real.
Right. And you be like,
And I was like, no, that was definitely real.
real.
It didn't just look real. There was no edit on that one.
Oh, so y'all took the actual footage of that.
Yeah. There was no edit on that one.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But he's a
That's
trooper
crazy.
because he pushed through.
He did.
He pushed
He
through.
absolutely did.
That's
So-
crazy. I can't, I'm getting the cringing tingles just thinking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So, but it was definitely a fun night though.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in a lot of pain, and we was doing everything to try and keep him comfortable
Yeah.
because it was a long night. Like we started
Yeah.
like 12 o'clock. I want
Yeah.
to say even before that we all got there. You get to the set, you start prepping and everything to that
Right.
effect.
I don't
So,
think we left till like 2
We
a.m.
didn't leave till like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it was,
Yeah.
a,
It was
a long day.
It was a long
day.
set.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good one. I think
Yeah.
I know he's fully recovered. I've seen him. His teeth look fine. They look great.
He can laugh about it now. He's okay.
Right. Yeah. So shout out to him for being a trooper and just
Yeah.
pushing through. So other than that, any other challenges that you guys had? I know we talked about, just getting people to show up and making sure that people are consistent. I will get into a question about, what's it like to try and work with the streaming platforms to get your movie right out there in front of audiences. But any other things, for those other aspiring filmmakers, people that are like, I don't know nothing about the game, I want to get into it. Any other things that you guys would have pointed out, hindsight is 2020, these are things that we learned the hard way?
Yeah, so first thing I will definitely say is us doing the way we did it, we made a lot of mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
And we rushed it.
Right.
So one of the key things was let's take a break, take a step back. Let's breathe for a second, and let's walk through it slowly.
Right.
And then really planning it out.
Right.
We really didn't have a lot of game plan going into this. But at the same time, because we've never done it, we was like, at this point in time, well, we might as well just go ahead and hit this thing as hard as we possibly can and see what happens.
Yeah.
So now that we hit it as hard as we could, there was a lot of things that we learned from everything. And now it's like, all right, these are the things that we need to do, to make it happen at this point in time. So my suggestion to anybody, make sure you have a good game plan. Make sure you have the people in place who believe in your project, and who's going to be willing to, number one, show up, because so many projects go dead just for the simple fact you shoot this one scene, you spend a lot of money on this one scene, and then Next thing you know, you go shoot the next scene that makes the story finish, and that person won't show up.
Right.
And now you just got footage on your hands.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's what I would suggest. You know, just take your time, have a good game plan.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Anything you'd add there?
I would just piggyback off of it, and I would just say, plan it all the way through, and then work backwards.
Right.
You know what I mean? That way you catch everything. Because I think that there were a lot of things that when we got to the end, it was too late.
Right.
Right. And it was like, man, if we would did this way, then when we went back and edited, we would have been able to do this.
Yeah.
Or we would have been able to do that. Right. But we were already through it. So, plan everything out, and then work backwards as far as what you may or may not need.
Right.
And that'll kind of give you everything that you need to move forward.
Yeah. Okay. That definitely makes sense, and it definitely resonates with, from any large project management effort, right? That's how you're going to go about it, is having that solid game plan to kind of always true back to.
Exactly.
So I think that's definitely intuitive, easier said than done, right? With
Right.
something this
Exactly.
large,
Yeah.
with this many people.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I always challenge audience when they go to look at your film, to, learn from your experiences and learn from things that they're hearing here today, because it'll definitely help support them in their journey and their dreams to kind of follow in you guys' footsteps with this, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, we're going to kind of shift a little bit for a moment into, the technology aspect. A lot of my audience here, right, they're coming here because, they are either in technical ventures or have an interest in, entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I know you guys right now have it available in your work on streaming platforms as it exists now. And are there any challenges or gotchas there with people who are also I'm going to make an independent film and I'm going to put it on a platform? And I feel like there probably are, which is why you guys decided to create your own platform. But
Yes.
let's talk about,
Yeah.
for a second, for those people who are not going to build their own streaming platform, right? What are some of the things that you guys encountered with working with all the platforms, and how did you decide which platforms you were actually going to target?
So that comes down to the biggest thing of it, right? When you make a film, it's one thing to be like, hey, look, I'm going to make this one movie and I'm done, right? 9 times out of 10, when you come into something to this,
Right.
you want to do multiple, right? So your whole plan is always to be, I'm going to make this one, try and make some money off of this,
Right.
so I can flip it into
Something else.
the
another.
next one,
Yeah.
right? So, that was always our goal. We sat down, we started talking about Miscalculated. I had other movie ideas that I wanted to do. Ramel had other movies. DK has other movies. Nabil had other movies. So we all had all these ideas that it's okay, and in order for us to do this, and versus us just constantly taking money out of our own pockets and putting it in, we have to figure out a way to try and make some money off of this, right? So me being the person I am, I started digging into it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how much do we make off of this?
Right.
How are we going to get this onto the streaming platforms? What we going to do to try and get this thing so we can keep flipping it, so we can keep going forward?
Yeah.
And when I started looking at how much the streaming platforms were actually paying
Right.
to people like us, these indie filmmakers, it was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of okay, well, what's the next step?
Right.
And to me, in my mind, would be, well, how hard is it to have a streaming platform?
Right.
Is it this difficult? Technology today makes things pretty easy to,
Right.
start something. Exactly. So I started looking into it, and I started coming across all kind of different things, and it's kind of you know what? I don't think this is too hard. I
Right.
think we can pull this off. And if we can pull it off, this would be great, because if we can get the proper backing to it, we can make the money that we need to make,
To support.
to support it, and also to support other films,
Right.
right? And then to get other people involved, who has other ideas for films. So that's where it kind of all started at. It's kind of looking at the cost of or how much we could possibly make off a movie like Miscalculated.
Right.
I will say this: Sean and I have a habit when we're in the same room of thinking, "Hey, man, this company is doing this," and then we'll kind of look at each other and be like, we could do our own.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Like we
Really do.
literally
Every day.
do that
All the time.
all the time.
All
Right.
the time.
Like, let's just do our own. Forget.
Right.
Yeah, they could do. Why can't we do it? You
Right.
know.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and that support system is huge. I mean, we got a group of 4 guys that pretty much just said, hey, I mean, we got us in here, right? We got all our back and all our knowledge, all our support,
Right.
Yep.
and we can take that and work together
Yep.
and make our own and do our own. We don't have to be assigned to what somebody else built. We can build it, right?
Right.
And so we pretty much just kept, we just consistently do that, and then just start our own journey.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm gonna take a break here and let everybody know. So the platform is called Nemis,
Nice.
right?
Yes.
And there's a roadmap to getting it rolled out full scale. But tell me a little bit, like, for people who want to see an early look, is there availability now, or is there going to be availability in future?
You can, if you want to get an early look at Nemis right now, you can find it. It's available on the Fire Stick.
Okay.
We actually did have a working platform on Roku.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we on Roku. However, Roku came back and they changed their developing options, so we had to go back and actually rebuild the whole
Roku.
Roku platform for it. So that's in the process of it being built right now, and I'm hoping to have that kind of in place within the next 4 to 6 months and have the whole thing rolled out by that time.
Yeah. So timeline availability now for Fire Stick, and then future platforms in about 6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. That's
So,
exciting.
Yeah,
but
it is. Yeah.
I'm about to ask the question. I always have to ask the hard question, right?
Yeah,
So what were the challenges? Because it's beautiful that you guys are this far along and that you have found success, but obviously nothing comes without some work and some perseverance and some,
It's definitely a perseverance,
I'm
right.
sure there were some lessons learned, right?
Yes.
We won't call them fails, but things that had you kind of go for
Yeah.
a loop, right? Like
Yes.
this situation where underneath you, Roku changed their platform, right?
Exactly.
In the middle of development, right?
Right,
So obviously
exactly.
that's one, like, tell me some more. Tell me what you guys kind of encountered on this journey.
So to be truthful with you, I want to say that is probably the biggest challenge
Okay.
we've ever had
Yeah.
through this whole process, and it's become more of a nightmare than anything because of the process.
Right.
But when we came across the software that we needed to develop it for the Fire Stick, that went very smooth.
Yeah.
The developing team, they got on it. I want to say 4 months later, they were like, "Hey, we're done. This
Okay.
thing works."
So end to end, 4 months for the first iteration of the Roku.
No, for the first actually Fire Stick.
For the Fire Stick. Okay,
Right.
got it.
So Fire Stick was up running. We was like, all right, cool. This is great.
That's amazing.
Right. So I was like, what can we do about the Roku? And literally, I want to say, he's like, our team, we're going to sit down with it tonight. I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to say, he called me the next day. He's like, it's done. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Roku, that site that Roku had set up,
Yeah.
made it so easy
Okay.
for developers to set it all up.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, great. So the next step was now, how can we monetize this platform, Nemis? And so I started doing research, came across some tools, some people that was willing to go ahead and back Nemis at this point in time. And that process took a little bit longer. Actually took longer with them than it
Right.
did with actually building the software.
Yeah.
The software, and we finally got them to the point where it's like, all right, here's all your, data that you need to plug into your platforms. And the minute we got that,
Yeah.
that was when Roku was like, we're sunsetting this. You need to do this now. So it's like.
Yeah.
So, and that was, I would say that was probably the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
So we haven't had no real challenges other than that. And now it's just the aspect of the development team being able to, hey, look, we need to get this Roku finished at this point in time.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you, DK, because you're like the type of person that says, we could build this, we could do this. Was there ever a point where you were like, I don't know, this seems like it's going to be tough, or did you just kind of persevere through the process, right?
Well, I'm just not even the type to be like, you know what, I don't think we can anymore, let's quit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this was really Sean's baby.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about doing it, but he really took the reins
Right.
and pushed
Okay,
through,
so you
and
were
we had to put everything
support
together.
in that
Yeah,
role,
so
like
I was-
whatever we need to do is what we're going to do.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
I love that mentality.
Yeah. But
So-
DK's always been there as day one. He's always there to support. So
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk about, for you guys moving forward, what is the plan in terms of, you're on one platform, and obviously availability dictates that you should probably, be invested in a few different platforms just
Right.
because greater access, right?
Exactly.
But what do you think your strategy is going to be to make sure people also are downloading Nemis? So they might still download the other platforms and watch
Exactly.
there, but also Nemis. Like, what is going to be the strategy?
So I think this is one of the reasons why we was talking about doing a streaming service, right? Was because you come across a streaming service like Tubi, Netflix when it first came out,
Yep.
right? They was going out and grabbing other people's content
Yeah.
and putting it on theirs.
Yeah.
That was what most of these streaming services start off with.
Yes.
We were actually going the other way. We were creating our own content and creating a streaming service to put it on.
Yeah.
Right? So now we can go out and grab other people's content, and we can still use our own content to do what we needed to do.
Right.
So we was actually, now you guys like Tubi, now it's like a Tubi original. We have Netflix originals
Yep.
right now. Now that they're starting to create their own stuff, right? But we're actually the other way, where it's kind of like, oh, this is Miscalculated originals.
Right.
Right? This
Right.
is Nemis originals now,
Yeah.
So so we was actually going backwards with this whole process, which I think was actually a better business plan for ourselves. But yeah, so I think that's what's going to really kind of like separate us as far as like, Tubi and Netflix and things to that effect.
Okay. So what is your process going to be for your content creators, right, that are interested in putting content on Nemis? Like, how are you guys going to, is there any like moderation in terms of anybody can kind of see if they can come stream on your platform, or is it going to be, what is the model?
So at this point, literally, our first goal would always be to look out for the little guy.
Yeah.
Right? We understand the struggle.
Yeah.
But at the flip side of the whole thing, I'm not going to say, hey, look, we're going to only go this genre for this.
Yeah.
For this platform. No, I'm opening the doors for everybody.
Okay.
But at the same time, really looking out for the little guy who's struggling, trying to make movies and decent movies, that just don't have the backing that they need.
Yeah.
So
does that, and is there any is there any way we can incentivize those to be, to keep diverse availability and diverse content, right? Like, are you guys looking at anything that could incentivize people to come to the platform?
So
right?
when you go to, a lot of times what you have distributors that
Yep.
you would take your film to, and these distributors would take that and go to the platform with it. I'm really, but now you're talking about you have to pay the middle guy.
Yes.
Right? So one of the things that we was really trying to do is cut the middle guy out, and help with these smaller independent filmmakers to help them have more money in their pocket at
Right.
the end of the day.
Right.
So I think that was going to be one of our key selling points, was like, hey, look, you can get direct contact with us.
Right.
Right? We're not that big where you have to talk to whoever, or we're not that big where we only talk to distributors and things
Right.
to that effect. No, you can come talk to us directly, and we can, put you on our platform.
Yeah. And then the last question that I have, kind of, there's been a lot of criticism of platforms like Tubi for like the quality of the content, right, that is on those platforms. And so obviously you'll be kind of in that same, you are open to all, right? Is there anything that you guys are looking at doing to address any content quality concerns?
I think that's going to probably be the hardest thing whenever you try and start one of these
Right.
up, is the quality of the content. And I think that's one of the reasons why us going backwards with originals
Yeah.
is going to help with that. We already made our first movie together, Miscalculated, and we learned a lot from it. And we know what quality issues that we had with it that we need to address.
Right.
So the next one that we're working on a few projects now, but we're already addressing these issues, right? So the content that we will be putting up there from ourselves would be a lot better than a lot of the stuff that you're already getting out there, right? So that's one of the ways we're addressing it. But at the same time, we don't want to, kick nobody to the curb just
Right.
because,
You don't want to censor like, this is not, you can't come
Right.
on my platform.
And also there's an audience for everybody, because I do know, literally, and it's not my thing, but I know people that literally, like, I like going on TV and watching, like, these the ones that are like crazy, where you can see the cameraman in the mirror and you can, you know what I'm saying, and you can whatever. Like, I like watching those. Those are like the best ones. They're like funny, and you know,
it appeals to all audiences.
Whole audience for that. People, there's some people that love that stuff. You know what I mean? They don't even want the high. They want to see they want to see all the stuff, right? So I you know, there is a audience for just about everything. You know, everybody.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I have in this space, and this could be either from a filmmaker perspective or also the journey that you guys are on with creating your own streaming platform, but like, what advice would you have for someone who's watching this and they want to understand, like, I want to make my own independent films? If you could give them any like key piece of advice, and I'll ask both of you, what would you give to the person that's sitting on the other side of the screen and kind of want to embark on the same journey?
I'm going to say, well, first of all, dream big and reach out for your dreams.
Right.
Of course, yes, you need to have a good game plan in place, but don't be afraid to step out there and go for it. And you may be surprised at what you come across. You know, you never know where your dream might end you at. You know, you could just literally be talking to somebody, and the next thing you know, you could be sitting in front of Spielberg talking about something you just don't know, right? So first of all, dream big, chase after your dreams. Don't be afraid to step out there and go after it. Have a game plan for yourself, right? You can always call us up too. We may be interested.
Right.
You know, so
that's what I was going to say. Like, definitely making sure that people, if you guys are open to having conversations, I think,
always open.
You know, that to me is like a great way for someone to, you know, make connections, network. You could be doing really great projects with someone else who has really good ideas, right? If you don't reach out, if you don't start the conversation.
So just real fast, one of the movies that I know myself is in is a movie called Dark 048.
Okay.
And I'm actually in it with Laura Winslow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm in it with Laura Winslow. I have a scene with her real fast. But again, that was literally hey, you guys interested in this movie?
Right.
Me, DK, Nabil, Ramel, we all put money towards this movie, and you know, they needed, somebody dropped out at the last second, so they called me at the last second. It was like, hey, can you fill this part tomorrow? And I was like, yeah,
absolutely,
sure, no
I'm there.
Right. Yeah. So but yeah, so that's, again, like, we heard this, we saw the script, we talked to the person, they had a game plan, and we was like, you know what? Let's fund it. Let's see what happens.
Right.
You know, so yeah, reach out. Yeah. Who knows?
Right. So. That's a good piece of advice. I think it's just, you know, make the connections, reach out, try. Exactly. Right. Nothing's gonna happen if you just sit on it.
Exactly.
So, all right. What about you? What do you think, if you had any piece of advice to give someone who was, you know, in the arena where they're even thinking about creating their own film? What would you say?
I would say build your circle, then build your dream.
Okay.
Right, because you know, you need a team, right? Yeah. You need a team. So build your circle, build a solid team. You know, all of us, we have things that we're good at. There are things I'm better at. There are things he's better at. There are things in Bill's, there are things for Mel. So there are different things that we're better at, and so we operate in our strength. Right, and then we had a vision of what we wanted to do, and because we took all of the strengths that we had and then we executed. Right, and yeah, we still made mistakes, but it gave us the ability. I mean, I'm positive probably over 70 to 80% of films that start don't finish.
Right.
Okay, and the only reason that we were able to do it was because we had a group of people that were all on the same page to move forward. So build your circle and then build your dream.
Yeah, I think that's actually very telling, because one of the things, you know, and I've supported a lot of creators and founders, and the thing that I tell people, the fastest way for a startup to fail, right, is to not have a good team around you, right? Trying to be everything. Sometimes I run into CEOs and founders who want to be everything. They want to be the CEO, the COO, the marketing person, because they don't want to divvy up or carve out the rewards from their dream, right? And it keeps their circle very small. And then I have other people who just like, it's their their brother or their cousin, and they're actually like not good at what they were hired to do, and it's because relationships will have people doing things, and so that they had a team, but it wasn't a good team, right? And so that has been the primary reason why a lot of the startups that I've supported have failed. Those that did fail, right? And I don't want to say fail. Those that are still on their journey. Let me not say fail, right?
Right.
But those that are still on their journey and still trying to get out the gate is because they didn't do that first. They didn't set up their team first, and identify the strengths, the weaknesses, what you're good at versus what I'm good at, and where your role is going to be, and where I need to lean in and support you, and you need to support me.
Right. Absolutely.
Seen it so many times.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What do you guys say has been the most rewarding part of this journey?
The most rewarding part for me was the actual premiere at the movies. And it wasn't, the reason was because it was for a couple things. Number one, to be able to see something that you work so long and so hard for actually put on that screen. That's number one. But then number two, to see the support, like we sold out the theater.
Yeah.
So that support system, that was a combination of the people that were involved because they believed in it, right? And they were part of the journey, and so they felt attached to it. And then people that just supported, say, hey, that's great what you guys did. They want to come out and see, and everything else in between. So that, to me, that was the probably the most rewarding thing, just to see this whole thing come together, because that was almost like the exclamation mark on the end, like the
graduation.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You guys are in this crash course.
So
and this is the culmination of all of your efforts and all your hard work.
Yeah.
And I will say that night was really amazing, and it was just like super eye-opening and inspiring. Being in the gym with you guys every day, I know what's happening. I'm seeing, I'm hearing about the shoots on the weekends, and every now and again I'll see like people show up at the gym, and it's like this throng and crowd of people because you're doing some shooting there. And I'm just like, but I don't, I don't know where things are, and I don't know all the challenges you guys are facing and the journey that you guys are on. And then like, just to see like, this is a real full-fledged movie. It's packed, like you said, sold out multiple shows, right?
Yep.
And it was like, wow, like this is the culmination. And it almost seemed effortless because I see y'all every day, and I know that you're doing your other businesses and you're executing other things, and you're doing this behind the scenes. And so it was almost like surreal to be there and see all this, the culmination of all of that effort and all of that work. And you made it almost look easy.
I appreciate it.
I know it wasn't.
It wasn't. I was gonna say it wasn't.
It
wasn't.
No.
Super
made it look that
smooth,
way.
and like
Definitely
nothing
not.
looked
Definitely
like
not.
chaotic.
No.
So what do you say? What do you feel was the most rewarding part of the journey for you?
So I kind of agree. I do agree with Cap over here. Having your product up on the screen after something like that, knowing all the difficulty challenges you went through. One of the things that I've always wanted was just my name to roll down the screen. So to have my
see your name
come
in the
down the screen, right? It was like, yeah, that's me, you know. But to be truthful for myself, one of the things that I felt the most rewarding was creating new friends.
Yeah.
Creating new friends.
I love that.
Like when you got done with that, hey man, you see people at the premiere, what's going on, man? How you new friends. I really enjoyed the cast we had in Miscalculated. Yeah. We all started talking because everybody's like, yo man, we need to do this, we need to do that. We all had the after party, we all having a good time. It's just like, to me, you create a brotherhood at this point in time, and you feel close to them, and then you understand the challenges that we all been through. We all push to get through these challenges, and it's like, we can do this as a team now. We're cool. So to me, it's like the friendship did you create. It goes a long ways. It goes a long ways.
So let's talk about your upcoming projects. I know that you guys have a lot of things in the works. And so I want to take some time to get people excited about some of the things that are coming up in the near future. So what's next? What's happening? What's going on? I don't know who wants to go first. DK, Sean? Okay, Sean.
All right, so just so y'all know, we have a movie Austin that's be coming out here. DK's one of the lead actors in that. Cap over here is the lead actor, and I know I myself is in it too. Ramel is actually the assistant director.
Okay.
Nabil's actually one of the executive producers. We have that coming out here pretty soon. That's in edit right now.
Okay. What is it? Yeah. So, like, what's timeline look like on something in edit? I don't know.
So I'm gonna say
filmmakers.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably within the next 6 months you should be seeing this.
That's awesome.
6 months. Then we had Dark 048, which we were just all. I mean, I did actually get a part in that, but that is a mostly just miscalculated a production from us.
Okay.
Like none of us was really in it. Like I said, I just got that small role in there. And what else do we have?
Well, I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but I know you have your baby you're working on.
Yeah. So it's funny because when I was in school, I used to like to write, and I used to like to write stories. So I've actually been writing scripts.
Okay.
So we have a few scripts that we're coming out with. There's a what we call a spy movie. We have a Western that I wrote.
Oh wow.
Ramel has Miscalculated Part 2 coming out.
Okay.
And then he has I guess you would call it a prequel to Miscalculated.
Okay.
To kind of show how all this leads up to Miscalculated. And then I have another one where it's a straight up fight scene, and it's just fights and guns, and it's starring DK, and he's just on a mission.
Yeah.
And it's a like, I don't want to put it out there because I don't want nobody to steal the idea.
Oh,
of the
absolutely.
script,
Yeah,
right?
don't.
But it's a fun script. I told DK about it. Everybody I'm telling about it's like, yeah, this is gonna be
all
dope.
in.
Yeah, this is gonna be dope.
Yeah. So that's a lot of projects all in the works right now between scripts and actual movies being filmed.
And I want to put something out there real quick. I can't. So there's a little contest, right?
Yes.
And we're going to. I'm going to remember, and I'm going to bring everybody in the loop after both of them are filmed, because it's going to take a while to their film. So, but there's a contest right now, and it's something that Sean is working on. A script Sean is working on.
Yes.
And then there's a script that Ramel is working on.
Oh.
Right. And
so we're putting them head to head.
Yeah,
right now.
we're putting them head to head. They kind of put themselves head to head. Right. So contest. So So when both of them are filmed, are written out, and then filmed, we're going to remember this moment.
Yes.
Right. We're going to come back, and it's going to get us a little fun. A little fun rivalry that we got going on here.
I can't wait to see how that turns out,
So,
and then bring y'all back here and have this conversation with Ramel.
Happy to come back here.
Yeah, and see how this ended up on the other side. Right?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. That's really exciting, and I'm so proud of you guys and so happy for this journey.
Proud of you too. Look at you. Yeah,
Well,
you're doing great
thank
too.
You really are.
Yeah.
I'm just, I think, like I said, one of the most inspiring stories for me, because I see you guys every day, and I just see how hard you work and just how much, you believe in everything that you're doing, all the things, right? How you can inspire people day to day to help improve themselves and, be on their own personal journeys. But then on the back end of that, you're pursuing your dreams and your journeys, in the filmmaking industry, and kind of changing, how we look at, creating our own platforms and creating our own space. A lot of the entrepreneurs and small business owners and creators that I support, are people of, Black and brown people, right? And I think there's such a gap in the information and the knowledge that's out there.
Definitely it is.
And I think, we have to have these very candid conversations with each other to see, like, well, what did you do? And what worked for you? And what didn't work? And if you were going to give me a piece of advice, what would you say that I should do, or where should I start? And I thank you guys for being so open and willing to share
of course,
your journey and your stories,
yes.
because this will definitely be impactful. And like you said, it might create some good synergies out there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we hope for. Right?
A large part of the audience that supports, my show, they, are content creators. And so they are like, they're going to look for opportunities to either invest in spaces
Yeah.
or partner. And so it's just like, being open and being willing to have the conversation and to share your journey with people is always going to organically mean growth and support for you, right?
Exactly.
And I love that because it's genuine, and you guys are doing it just because you want to share.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
thank you guys for
Thank you.
joining
Thank you so
me.
much for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I love you guys.
Love you
Love
too.
you too.
So thanks everyone for tuning in today. I think, as I said, to me, their journey has been such an inspirational thing to watch, because they are really pursuing what is in their hearts and doing it in a way that is well executed, which is hard to do, learning from their lessons. And so they're basically doing what I asked my audience to do, right, is to turn your glitches into grinds so that eventually you will glow, right? So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure that you follow us on all the platforms. So if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and follow us there. Spotify, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Instagram socials are Glitch Grind Glow on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Glitch Grind Glow Podcast. And then you guys can always just come to the website community, sign up for our newsletter on glitchgrindglow.com. And I'll also make sure that I drop the socials so that you guys can follow and learn more about DK and Sean. So that will be, if you're visually watching the podcast, I'll go ahead and we'll put it on the screen for you if you're listening. I'll also make sure that I drop that in the comments for anywhere that the episode is posted, so that you can see exactly how to follow them and where to find out about all the next things that are going on with their projects. Off the top of your head, guys, your social for Nemis. What is it?
It is actually Nemis TV.
Nemis TV. So NEMIS TV. Any other socials that you guys wanted to share?
Miscalculated Productions for Instagram.
Okay, so Miscalculated Productions. It's a mouthful, but y'all, I think we'll figure out how to spell it and make sure that we drop it on the video so that you guys can see it. Anything else?
That's it. We really appreciate
it. Thank you
being
for
here.
having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you guys and have a
Thank you,
wonderful
everybody.
afternoon.